The galaxy watched as an alien princess chose a human princess to trust. Below her stretched the city of her world, a maze of shining towers, floating gardens, and crystal bridges that sparkled in the light of three suns. Vera was a planet known across the galaxy for its beauty, its intelligence, and the wisdom of its people. Leora was proud to be a part of it, but tonight, pride was mixed with unease. The Galactic Summit was approaching, and leaders from hundreds of civilizations would soon arrive. She looked down at the floating gardens below, where the last preparations were being made. Hovering servants moved between the glowing plants, adjusting lights and checking security measures. Everything had to be perfect, but Leora knew that perfection was never enough when dealing with alien politics. Every delegate carried hidden motives. Some were friendly, some were ambitious, and some would kill to achieve their goals. And among them would be humans, creatures known for their unpredictability and courage, though few believed them capable of diplomacy. Princess Amelia of Earth was one of those humans. She had arrived on Vera Day before the summit. Unlike the Verans, who moved with grace and precision, Amelia's movements were more hurried, more alive. She was not like the other humans Leora had heard of in galactic stories. Those tales often spoke of humans as fragile and impulsive, easily overwhelmed by the complexity of space politics. But Amelia seemed calm, almost fearless. She walked through the palace halls with confidence, greeting alien delegates with a polite smile, yet never pretending to be more than she was. Leora remembered the first time she saw Amelia. It had been during the welcoming ceremony, when the delegates entered the grand hall. Vera's hall was a marvel of architecture. Tall crystal columns reflected the light of the suns outside, and floating chandeliers shimmered with energy. Delegates from the Coran Hives, the Telari Consortium, and the Orven Guild all moved with careful attention, showing respect to protocol. But Amelia stood apart. She did not rush, and she did not bend unnaturally to the ceremonial customs. She moved naturally, her head high, observing everyone with a quiet intelligence. The ceremony had barely begun when chaos erupted. A rogue warship breached the outer perimeter of Vera's defenses. Alarms blared, red lights flashed across the hall, and panic swept through the delegates. Security teams scrambled to protect the important guests. Some delegates froze, unsure of what to do, while others ran blindly toward safety. Leora's heart raced as she scanned the crowd for Amelia. Amelia was already moving. She directed nearby delegates toward secure corridors, guiding them calmly but decisively. When a small explosion shook the floor nearby, she pulled a fallen guard to safety and found a route that bypassed the damaged areas. Leora watched from her vantage point, her eyes widening. The human princess was doing something extraordinary, not with power or technology, but with clear thinking and courage. By the time Vera's defense ships intercepted the rogue warship, the hall was mostly cleared. Delegates looked shaken, but none were seriously injured. Leora descended to the hall and found Amelia assisting the last group of frightened diplomats. She approached slowly, curious. "You handled yourself well," Leora said, her voice steady but impressed. Amelia looked up, brushing a strand of hair from her face. "It's what anyone should do," Amelia replied simply, though Leora could hear the quiet authority in her tone. "People were scared, so I helped them move, that's all." Leora raised an eyebrow. "Not all humans think like that. Some panic, some argue, some run." Amelia shrugged. "Maybe, but I don't see why fear should stop anyone from doing the right thing." Leora studied her, intrigued. There was a sincerity in Amelia that she had not expected. Perhaps humans were not as weak or fragile as many Verans believed. Perhaps, in fact, they had qualities that could surprise even the wisest alien leaders. The next day, the summit began in earnest. Delegates discussed trade, alliances, and planetary defenses. Some spoke in alien languages, others through translators. Leora watched Amelia navigate the conversations with grace, asking insightful questions and listening more than speaking. The human princess's curiosity was genuine, and she seemed unafraid to question norms if it meant understanding something better. During a break, Leora invited Amelia to visit the floating gardens of the palace. The gardens were a place of reflection and learning, a rare area where Verans could speak freely without the pressure of observation. Amelia accepted, and together they walked along paths suspended in the air, the sunlight refracting through crystal leaves and casting rainbows on the floor below. "I've heard humans are reckless," Leora said, her voice quiet as they walked. You charge in without thinking and you rely on luck more than planning. It makes other species nervous. Amelia laughed softly. That's a funny way to describe humans. We plan, we adapt, and yes, sometimes we take risks. But isn't that what makes you watchful and cautious? Every species has strengths and weaknesses. I think it's unfair to judge humans by stories alone. Leora considered this. Perhaps, but your actions yesterday, you acted with courage and quick thinking. Not many could do what you did. Even some Varans might have frozen in fear. Amelia smiled, but there was a seriousness in her eyes. Fear is normal, but if you let it control you, it becomes a weapon against yourself. You have to move forward even when things are dangerous. Otherwise, nothing changes. Leora felt a strange respect for her. Humans were unpredictable, yes, but there was bravery in that unpredictability. It was a kind of power that few aliens understood. Later that evening, as the sun set and the gardens glowed with artificial light, the palace's security team discovered signs of sabotage. A mysterious device had been planted in the palace corridors, one capable of disrupting the summit's communication systems. Leora's mind raced. Who could do such a thing? And why? She called Amelia to her side. I need your help, Leora said. I cannot investigate alone, and I believe you see things differently. You notice details others overlook. Amelia nodded. Of course, let's figure out who's behind this. Together, they examined the corridor. Amelia crouched, inspecting the floor and walls. She noticed faint traces of alien technology that did not belong to any official delegate. This was planted carefully, she said. Someone wanted it to go unnoticed until it was too late. Whoever did this is skilled, and they are dangerous. Leora's eyes narrowed. Then we must be careful. The summit is still ongoing, and the eyes of the galaxy are upon us. One wrong move, and everything could collapse. For hours, they traced the device's origins, following subtle clues through palace tunnels and ventilation shafts. The work required patience, intelligence, and trust, qualities that Leora had not expected to find in a human. Amelia's ability to think quickly under pressure complemented Leora's strategic mind perfectly. Together, they formed an unexpected but effective team. As the night deepened, they returned to the gardens to rest. Leora looked up at the stars above Vera, feeling a mix of anxiety and hope. You are remarkable, she said quietly. I didn't believe a human could handle this, and yet you have proven me wrong. Amelia smiled softly. I think you just didn't expect it. Humans have a way of surprising people. Maybe that's why we survive. Leora nodded. There was truth in that. In a galaxy full of powerful alien species, humans were often underestimated. And perhaps that was their greatest strength. No one expected them to succeed, so when they did, it was extraordinary. The first day of the summit ended with an uneasy calm. Delegates returned to their quarters, unaware of the near sabotage that had been prevented. Leora and Amelia stood on the balcony of the palace, watching as Vera's three suns dipped below the horizon, leaving trails of color across the sky. You handled yourself well today, Leora said again, almost to herself. The galaxy is watching, and I wonder, will they see what I see? Amelia looked at her, her eyes reflecting the fading light. Maybe, or maybe they will need to see more before they believe it. Humans are not always trusted at first, but when we are, it can change everything. Leora felt a weight lift from her shoulders. Trust was dangerous, especially in a galaxy filled with secrets and lies. But she sensed that Amelia was different. This human princess was brave, smart, and capable. Perhaps for the first time in her life, Leora could trust someone completely, someone from a species thought weak, but who might prove stronger than anyone expected. As they turned back into the palace, neither knew what the next day would bring. But one thing was certain. The summit was only beginning, and the galaxy would soon witness a bond that could change the course of countless worlds. And in the shadows, someone was watching, someone who did not want that bond to form. The real challenge was just beginning, and both princesses would need all their courage, intelligence, and trust to survive what was coming next. The day after the near sabotage, Princess Leora felt the tension in the palace more strongly than ever. Vera's crystal corridors, usually filled with soft hums of energy and serene beauty, now echoed with whispers of suspicion. Delegates moved with careful eyes, some glancing at each other as if any step could betray them. The Galactic Summit had begun in earnest, but beneath the polite words and formal greetings, something dangerous lingered. Someone among them was plotting, and the two princesses knew that the threat was still very real. Leora found Amelia in the garden, sitting on the edge of a floating walkway, watching the Varen flowers sway as if they were alive. The human princess had a notebook in her hand, filled with sketches and observations from the previous day. Amelia always seemed to notice things others overlooked. Leora had seen it during the chaos. Small details, patterns, movements, anything that could indicate danger. Now, that same careful observation could be the key to discovering the saboteurs. "You're up early," Leora said softly as she approached. Amelia looked up and smiled. "Can't sleep," Amelia admitted. "I keep thinking about yesterday, the device, the way it was hidden. Someone didn't want the summit to succeed. They planned it carefully." Leora nodded. "Yes. And I cannot ignore it. My people expect me to maintain peace and order, but now I must also find out who threatens it, and perhaps I need your help more than ever." Amelia closed her notebook. "Then we should start." They began their investigation quietly. First, they returned to the corridor where the device had been discovered. The floor and walls had been cleaned, but subtle traces remained. Amelia ran her fingers along a faint energy residue, examining its frequency through a small scanner she had brought with her. "This is not Varen technology," she said. "It's alien but advanced. Whoever made it knows what they're doing. They don't want anyone to find them until it's too late." Leora frowned. "Then they could be anyone, one of the delegates, a hidden agent, even someone pretending to serve my family." Amelia nodded gravely. "We need to watch everyone closely, but we cannot let fear control us. If we act like we are being threatened, the saboteur might accelerate their plan." The princesses decided to split their duties. Leora would use her authority and influence to observe delegates in formal settings, while Amelia would quietly monitor less obvious areas: the servants' quarters, the communication rooms, and the palace wings that rarely saw guests. Amelia moved like a shadow, unnoticed yet attentive, her sharp eyes catching anything out of place. By midday, Amelia had already noticed a pattern. Small groups of delegates seemed to meet secretly, their conversations ending abruptly when anyone else approached. One of them, an Orvan noble named Krellan, seemed particularly cautious. He often lingered near the technology corridors, though he claimed to be inspecting the palace systems. Amelia took note of him. Meanwhile, Leora had her own concerns. Some of the Corran delegates appeared unusually interested in Earth security protocols, asking pointed questions to test Amelia's knowledge. Leora watched Amelia answer calmly, never revealing too much, yet demonstrating competence that surprised even the seasoned aliens. Every answer Amelia gave reinforced Leora's belief that humans, underestimated as they were, could rise to challenges that most species could not. As evening approached, the palace announced a ceremonial feast to honor the summit's beginning. The great hall shimmered with hundreds of lights, casting reflections across crystal pillars. Alien delegates entered in elegant robes, their forms strange and beautiful to human eyes. Amelia stood beside Leora, who was dressed in her ceremonial attire, silver threads glowing faintly. "Stay close," Leora whispered. "I suspect something may happen tonight. The saboteurs may try again." Amelia nodded, her expression calm. "I'm ready." The feast began peacefully. Delegates exchanged pleasantries, and food that glimmered with energy flavors floated across tables on hovering platters. But beneath the polite conversation, Leora and Amelia watched carefully. Every movement, every glance, every slight hesitation became a piece of the puzzle. Hours passed, and the feast was nearly over when a sudden flicker of light in the far corner caught Amelia's attention. A small, portable device emitted a pulse that could disrupt the palace communication network if activated. Amelia signaled Leora, and together they moved quickly toward it. Before they could reach it, Krellan, the Orvan noble Amelia had noted earlier, stepped forward, his hand reaching for the device. "Stop!" he shouted, though his voice trembled slightly. Amelia reacted instantly. She grabbed a small energy field generator from her belt and activated it, creating a protective barrier around the device. Sparks flew as the device's energy reacted to the shield, threatening to explode. Leora quickly joined her, using her own Varen energy control to stabilize the pulse. "Krellan, step back," Leora commanded. His eyes widened as the two princesses neutralized the device effortlessly. You cannot," Krellan began, but Leora interrupted. "You have been caught. Step aside or we will use force." Krellan hesitated, then retreated, realizing he could not overpower the combined skills of the two princesses. Amelia carefully deactivated the device and inspected it. "This was meant to cause panic," she said. "If it had gone off, delegates would have thought it was an attack from outside. They wanted us to fail, to blame Earth or me personally." Leora's face hardened. "Then their plan is bigger than I feared. Someone inside this summit wants war, or at least chaos." Amelia looked at her. "We need to find out who, and soon." The palace security team arrived, alerted by the device's pulse. Leora and Amelia explained the situation, though they did not reveal all their findings. Some details needed to remain secret, for the saboteur might be watching even now. The security team took Krellin into custody, though he remained defiant, claiming innocence. Leora and Amelia knew better. The next morning, the palace held an emergency meeting. Delegates gathered, anxious but unaware of the near disaster. Leora spoke with calm authority, emphasizing the importance of vigilance without revealing the specific threat. Amelia remained at her side, quietly observing, noting reactions and subtle behaviors. Every whisper, every glance, every nervous gesture became data. Amelia noticed something strange. Among the Coran delegates, a small group seemed unusually interested in the Orvan noble's arrest. They asked questions, their curiosity veiled as concern, but their eyes betrayed calculation. Amelia whispered her observations to Leora, who nodded gravely. "We cannot trust appearances," Leora said. "Even those who seem concerned may be involved." For the next few days, the two princesses worked tirelessly. They mapped movements, compared statements, and pieced together evidence. Amelia's human intuition proved invaluable, helping them spot lies and hidden alliances. Leora's strategic mind guided the investigation, ensuring they stayed ahead of the saboteurs without alerting them. Their efforts culminated in the discovery of a hidden corridor beneath the palace, one that bypassed the main security systems. The corridor led to a small control chamber filled with advanced alien technology. Amelia quickly recognized the patterns as being similar to the device she had deactivated, though more powerful. "This is where they were planning their next move," Amelia said. From here, they could manipulate palace systems, create panic, or even start a conflict between delegates. Leora's eyes narrowed. "Then we must stop them before they act, and we must do it discreetly. The galaxy is watching, and if this summit fails, the consequences could be disastrous." They prepared carefully, devising a plan that relied on both their strengths. Leora would distract the nearby patrols and create openings using her Varen energy abilities, while Amelia would navigate the corridor and disable the systems. It was risky, but they had no choice. Under the cover of night, they executed their plan. Leora moved through the halls with grace, creating illusions of movement to mislead guards. Amelia slipped into the hidden corridor, her fingers flying over the alien control panels. Each device she deactivated required precise timing and quick thinking, testing her human adaptability against the most advanced alien technology. Minutes felt like hours, but eventually, Amelia reached the main console. She analyzed the network, tracing the command signals back to a group of delegates who had hidden their identities behind holographic disguises. Using a combination of strategy and improvisation, Amelia severed their access, rendering the saboteurs powerless. Leora joined her as the last systems powered down. "Well done," she said quietly. "The summit will continue safely because of you." Amelia smiled, though exhaustion was clear in her eyes. "We did it together, that's the important part." For the first time, Leora felt a deeper trust toward a human, not just admiration, but confidence in their abilities. Amelia was more than capable. She was extraordinary. The galaxy might underestimate humans, but Leora now knew their true strength. The next morning, the summit resumed with renewed energy. Delegates were unaware of the disaster they had narrowly avoided. Leora and Amelia observed carefully, ensuring no further threats existed. And as the suns rose over Vera, casting light across the crystal towers and floating gardens, both princesses felt a bond forming, one built on courage, intelligence, and mutual respect. Even in a galaxy filled with advanced alien civilizations, one human princess had proven herself indispensable, and Leora knew that when the time came, she would trust Amelia without hesitation. The true test of their alliance was yet to come, but the foundation had been laid, and nothing could shake it. The victory over the sabotage had brought temporary relief, but Princess Leora knew it could not last. The saboteurs had been revealed, but they were only a part of a larger plan. The faction behind the attacks was still at work, hidden among the delegates, waiting for the right moment to strike. Leora had seen the subtle glances, the whispered words, the way certain groups moved in unison as if they shared a secret code. The galaxy was watching, and the stakes had never been higher. Amelia had stayed close since the last incident, her presence a constant reminder that humans were capable of more than anyone expected. Leora had begun to trust her instincts implicitly. Where the Varans relied on strategy, humans relied on adaptability and courage, qualities that often made the difference when plans went wrong. Amelia had proven this already, but the upcoming challenge would test them both like never before. Reports came in early that morning. A fleet of ships had appeared near the outskirts of Vera's orbit. At first glance, it seemed they were friendly reinforcements sent to aid the summit. But Leora and Amelia quickly noticed irregularities. The ships moved with unusual precision, almost as if they were rehearsed. Their energy signatures matched none of the known allies in the region. Something was wrong. "They claim to be here for protection," Leora said, standing in the observation tower overlooking the landing pads. "But I do not trust them. These patterns, they are deliberate, too deliberate." Amelia adjusted her portable scanner, tracking the fleet's movements. "You're right. They're organized, yes, but too uniform. No one moves like this naturally. It's a trap, or at least a setup for one." Leora nodded. "Then we must act before they do. We cannot let them capture the summit leaders, or worse, frame us for their actions." The two princesses convened with Vera's Security Council. Leora outlined a plan to identify the true purpose of the fleet without drawing attention. Amelia suggested a more daring approach: infiltrate the flagship and gather information directly. Leora hesitated. It was risky, nearly suicidal, but she also recognized that Amelia's unconventional thinking might succeed where conventional methods would fail. "We will do it," Leora said finally, "but we must prepare carefully. One mistake and the summit, and perhaps Vera itself, could fall into enemy hands." Amelia smiled faintly. "Then let's get to work." They spent the day gathering equipment, disguises, and intelligence. Leora's energy manipulation skills would help them create diversions and mislead the fleet's guards, while Amelia's human ingenuity allowed her to improvise solutions to problems no one expected. By evening, they were ready. Under the cover of darkness, they moved toward the fleet. Their ship, small and nondescript, approached the flagship quietly. Leora activated a cloaking field, bending light around their vessel so it would appear invisible to enemy sensors. Amelia navigated, her hands steady as she guided them through the fleet's patrol patterns. Once they reached the flagship, they deployed a small landing pod. Leora and Amelia slipped inside, finding themselves in corridors filled with advanced alien technology. The air hummed with energy, and the walls pulsed with unknown signals. Amelia examined the control panels, noting unfamiliar systems and security measures. "They've upgraded from the device we found on Vera," she whispered. "This is more advanced, more dangerous. And it's all connected to the fleet's central command." Leora nodded, her senses alert. "Then we move carefully. We cannot make a sound." They navigated the corridors, avoiding patrols of alien guards with precision. Leora created subtle illusions, making the guards see empty hallways where the princesses moved. Amelia used her scanner to map the patrol patterns, predicting movements and adjusting their path. Together, they were a perfect team: strategy and improvisation, intellect and courage. Finally, they reached the control room. From inside, they could see holographic projections of the fleet, the positions of every ship, and the planned attacks. The saboteur faction intended to capture Vera's summit leaders, blame the humans, and declare war between factions. If successful, it would plunge the galaxy into chaos. Amelia's eyes narrowed. "We cannot let this happen, but the room is heavily guarded. We'll need a plan to disable them." Leora studied the projections. "I can create a diversion outside, drawing the guards away, but you will need to act fast once they're distracted." Amelia nodded. "Understood, let's do it." Leora left the control room, creating illusions of movement in the corridor and triggering energy pulses that drew the guards' attention. As alarms blared, the guards rushed to investigate, leaving the control room momentarily unguarded. Amelia slipped inside, her hands moving quickly over the alien control panels. She deactivated the security protocols, disrupted the communications link, and sent false signals to the fleet, making them appear in the wrong locations. The plan worked perfectly. Guards returned to find the room empty, systems scrambled, and the fleet's movements confused. Amelia smiled faintly, impressed by the effectiveness of their combined skills. Leora returned, her illusions fading as she joined Amelia. "We've done it," Leora said, her voice filled with relief. "But we must return to Vera quickly. The summit is still at risk." They retraced their steps through the corridors, avoiding detection as best they could. As they reached their landing pod, Amelia paused, studying the fleet's final positions. "If we report this, we can prevent the attack entirely, but we must also ensure the saboteurs are identified and captured. Otherwise, this could happen again," Leora agreed. "We will present the evidence to the Summit Council. The galaxy must see that humans are not weak, that they can act decisively when needed, and we must protect those who trust us." Their return to Vera was tense. Every second seemed to stretch as they navigated the fleet's patrols, but Amelia's skill and Leora's careful guidance ensured their safety. When they finally docked in the palace, the night was quiet, though the weight of what they had accomplished remained heavy on their shoulders. The next day, the Summit Council convened. Leora and Amelia presented the evidence: holographic records of the saboteur fleet, communications intercepted, and detailed analysis of the hidden plan. Delegates watched in awe as the truth unfolded. Humans had been blamed in the past for minor mistakes or misunderstandings, but here was proof of their courage, intelligence, and integrity. Amelia spoke clearly, her voice steady and confident. "The humans among us acted to prevent disaster. We did not seek recognition or reward, but the galaxy must understand, when faced with danger, humans adapt, improvise, and protect what they value. Trust is earned, and we have done our best to earn it today." Leora added her voice, standing beside the human princess. "Amelia has shown qualities that even the most cautious among us could not predict. She has proven that humans are more than capable, more than resilient. She has earned my trust, and I recommend that the summit consider humans as allies, not subjects of doubt." Whispers spread across the hall. Delegates looked at each other, some nodding, some silently impressed. The galaxy had indeed been watching, and it was witnessing something rare: a human earning respect not through power or technology, but through courage, intelligence, and quick thinking. But even as the council applauded the bravery of the two princesses, shadows lingered. The saboteur faction had lost their immediate advantage, but they had not been completely destroyed. Somewhere in the galaxy, they were planning their next move, watching carefully, waiting for an opportunity to strike again. Leora turned to Amelia after the council meeting. "The galaxy now sees humans differently, but that also means we have new responsibilities. We cannot let this trust be broken. We must remain vigilant." Amelia nodded. "I understand, but we can handle it. Together, we're stronger than they expect." Their bond had grown stronger through the ordeal. Leora's respect for Amelia's abilities had turned into genuine trust. She knew that in a galaxy of powerful alien species, humans could be a force of resilience, ingenuity, and courage. Amelia, in turn, understood that the Veran princess was more than a leader. She was strategic, wise, and capable of recognizing true talent when she saw it. The fleet that had threatened Vera was now scattered, its systems disrupted, and its leaders captured. But Leora and Amelia knew the galaxy would never be completely safe. There would always be those who sought power through deception and violence. The key was trust, courage, and adaptability, qualities that humans, surprisingly, possessed in abundance. As the sun set over the crystal towers of Vera, Leora and Amelia stood on a balcony overlooking the floating gardens. The stars above twinkled like countless eyes, observing every move, every choice. And in that moment, both princesses understood something important. No matter how advanced the galaxy might become, courage and trust could never be replaced. Amelia looked at Leora and smiled. "Do you think they understand now?" Leora shook her head, smiling faintly. "Perhaps some do, others will learn in time, but what matters is that we understand each other, and that is enough for now." The night was quiet, but the weight of the past days lingered. The galaxy had watched, and it had witnessed humans rise to challenges that no one expected them to survive. And somewhere in the shadows, others took note, realizing that the days of underestimating humans were over. For Leora and Amelia, the battle was far from over. But together, they had proven something extraordinary. Humans could be trusted, humans could excel, and humans could stand as equals among the galaxy's most advanced civilizations. The alliance between the two princesses was no longer just a possibility, it was a necessity. The night deepened, and the palace hummed with quiet energy. Leora and Amelia returned inside, ready to face whatever the galaxy might send next. They knew the saboteurs would try again, and they would be prepared. After all, they had learned a valuable lesson. Trust, courage, and intelligence were not limited by species, and the galaxy, ever watchful, would continue to bear witness to their rising power. The days after the fleet's failed attempt to sabotage Vera were tense. The summit continued, but the atmosphere had shifted. Delegates moved carefully, aware that something extraordinary had occurred, though few fully understood it. Leora and Amelia, however, knew the truth. Humans had prevented disaster, outthinking and outmaneuvering some of the galaxy's most advanced species. Despite this, Leora could not ignore the shadows lurking in the corners of the summit. The saboteur faction had lost its immediate advantage, but the leaders were still free, plotting their next strike. Their goal was clear. They wanted to ignite conflict, blame humans, and destabilize the fragile alliances forming across the galaxy. Leora had no intention of letting that happen. Amelia had become more than a guest at the summit. She was now a trusted partner. Her insight, bravery, and quick thinking had proven invaluable. Leora knew that together they could confront any threat, even those that seemed impossible. Early in the morning, reports came in. A hidden fleet was moving toward Vera from a distant system, their approach calculated to avoid detection until they reached orbital range. These were the saboteurs' remnants, now more desperate and dangerous. Leora and Amelia convened with Vera's Security Council once again. "They believe the humans are vulnerable," Leora said, her eyes scanning the council chamber. "They underestimate what humans can do." "But they will learn their mistake," Amelia nodded. "We need a plan. A direct strike might alert them, but if we can infiltrate their command center, we can neutralize them before they act." The council agreed, providing them with advanced reconnaissance equipment. Leora and Amelia spent hours preparing, reviewing every detail of the enemy fleet's known tactics. Leora's Veran energy control would create diversions and protect them from attacks, while Amelia would use human ingenuity to bypass the most advanced alien security systems. By nightfall, their ship approached the enemy fleet under the cover of darkness. Using stealth technology, they remained undetected as they navigated between massive cruisers and smaller attack vessels. Amelia guided their ship carefully, reading energy signals, movement patterns, and gaps in patrols. Leora monitored the ship's shields and sensors, ready to react instantly to any danger. Finally, they reached the flagship of the saboteurs. It was larger than any vessel they had seen before, dark and menacing, its hull covered in unknown alloys. Leora and Amelia deployed a small landing pod and slipped inside. The interior was dimly lit, with corridors that hummed with alien energy. Every step they took could be deadly if detected. "This way," Amelia whispered, pointing toward a side corridor that led deeper into the ship. "I can see the control room from here. If we can disable their systems, the fleet will be disoriented, and they won't know what's happening until it's too late." Leora nodded. "Then we move carefully, no mistakes." They navigated the corridors, avoiding patrols of heavily armed aliens. Leora created subtle illusions, making guards see empty hallways, while Amelia used portable scanners to trace patrol movements and identify vulnerabilities. Together, they moved like shadows, their combined skills allowing them to bypass the most advanced security systems. At last, they reached the control room. From the doorway, they could see holographic displays of the fleet, the positions of every ship, and the plans for the next attack. The saboteur leaders, disguised in holographic forms, were coordinating their forces, unaware that intruders had entered their ship. Amelia whispered, "This is it. One chance to stop them." Leora nodded. "Then we act." Amelia moved forward, her hands flying across the alien control panels. She disabled communications, scrambled energy links, and triggered false signals that confused the fleet's coordination. Leora created a series of energy pulses that masked their presence and delayed the guards' response. Sparks flew, alarms blared, and the saboteurs scrambled, trying to regain control. Amelia's ingenuity shone as she improvised solutions to unexpected problems. When a security override attempted to lock her out, she rerouted power from auxiliary systems, bypassing the lockdown entirely. Leora's illusions guided her through the room, protecting her from detection while amplifying the chaos among the enemy crew. Within minutes, the flagship's control systems were completely disrupted. The enemy fleet moved erratically, their attack plans failing before they could be executed. Leora and Amelia observed as the ships collided in minor chaos, immobilized but not destroyed. "We've done it," Amelia said, breathing heavily but smiling. "They won't be able to attack Vera or any other planet again, at least not today." Leora nodded, pride shining in her eyes. "And the summit will continue safely. You have proven yourself invaluable." But their mission was not complete. They still needed to ensure the saboteur leaders were captured. Using Leora's energy manipulation, they created a temporary force field around the control room, trapping the leaders. Amelia prepared the ship's transport signal to relay them directly to Vera's security forces. As the leaders were beamed away, one of them attempted a last-ditch attack, activating a plasma cannon aimed at the landing pod. Amelia quickly calculated the trajectory and redirected the energy using a portable deflection device. The shot exploded harmlessly against the ship's hull. "That was close," Leora said, her voice steady despite the adrenaline. Amelia smiled faintly. "Too close. But we're not done until the fleet is secure." They retraced their steps through the corridors, still avoiding patrols, and returned to their ship. As they launched away from the flagship, the fleet was left in confusion, its leadership captured and its systems disrupted. The immediate threat to Vera and the summit had been neutralized. When they returned to Vera, the palace was alive with news. Delegates were gathered, awaiting updates, unaware of how narrowly disaster had been avoided. Leora and Amelia presented their findings, detailed reports of the enemy fleet, captured leaders, and evidence of sabotage. Holographic projections illustrated the failed attack and the swift, decisive actions of the two princesses. The delegates were stunned. Humans had not only survived in alien environments, but had outsmarted some of the galaxy's most advanced saboteurs. Whispers spread throughout the hall. Some delegates looked skeptical, others impressed, but all began to see humans differently. Leora turned to Amelia, her eyes filled with respect. "The galaxy has seen what humans can do. You have proven that courage, intelligence, and quick thinking can rival the most advanced technology." Amelia shook her head slightly. "It's not just me, it's all of us. Humans have always found ways to adapt and survive, but I won't deny that working with you made the difference." The Summit Council convened for a final session that day. Leora addressed the assembly, her voice strong and unwavering. She praised the human princess's bravery and ingenuity, acknowledging the crucial role she played in preventing catastrophe. Leora formally offered Amelia a position as a trusted representative of Earth in the Galactic Council, a gesture of recognition and alliance that was unprecedented. Amelia accepted, humbled but determined. "I will do my best," she said. "Not for recognition, but to ensure that trust is maintained and that the galaxy can rely on humanity when it matters most." Delegates applauded, and murmurs of approval spread throughout the chamber. The trust between humans and Verans, and potentially many other civilizations, had been solidified. For the first time, the galaxy recognized that humans were not just a minor species to be observed or underestimated, but true partners capable of shaping events on a galactic scale. Later, as the sun set over Vera's crystal towers, Leora and Amelia stood on a balcony overlooking the floating gardens. The night sky shimmered with stars, each one a witness to the events that had unfolded. For a moment, both princesses allowed themselves to relax, knowing they had achieved something extraordinary. "You've earned my trust," Leora said softly, "and that trust is not given lightly. Humans are unpredictable, yes, but now I know that they are also remarkable in ways the galaxy has never seen." Amelia smiled, her eyes reflecting the starlight. "And you've earned mine. I've never met anyone so wise and courageous. Together, we've shown that trust, courage, and intelligence can overcome even the greatest threats." They stood in silence for a moment, the weight of the past days lingering in the air. But there was also hope, a sense that the galaxy had witnessed something unique, a partnership that transcended species, a bond forged in courage and mutual respect. The next morning, the summit concluded successfully. Delegates returned to their home worlds, carrying tales of the human princess's bravery and the Varan princess's leadership. Across the galaxy, whispers began to circulate, stories of humans who could act decisively, who could think creatively, and who could be trusted when stakes were highest. Leora and Amelia walked through the palace gardens one last time before the humans departed. Floating lights danced across the crystal leaves, casting colors on the ground below. It was peaceful, yet both knew the galaxy was vast and filled with potential threats. But the knowledge that they had faced danger together and prevailed gave them confidence. "You think this will change how humans are seen?" Amelia asked. Leora considered. "It has already started. Some will never believe it, but others will. And in time, humans will earn the respect they deserve. They have already earned mine." Amelia smiled, feeling the weight of responsibility and honor settle on her shoulders. "Then we'll be ready for whatever comes next, together." The humans returned to Earth, and life on Vera resumed its calm beauty. But the story of the two princesses spread across star systems, inspiring hope and respect. Even in a galaxy of advanced aliens, courage, intelligence, and trust had proven stronger than technology or power. The galaxy had watched, and it had witnessed something extraordinary: the rise of humans as true allies among the stars. As the suns of Vera rose the next day, Leora looked toward the horizon, thinking of the human princess who had changed her perception of the galaxy. Amelia's courage had not only saved lives, it had reshaped trust, forged alliances, and shown the universe that humans were more than underestimated observers. They were capable, brave, and worthy of trust. And somewhere among the stars, other civilizations took note, realizing that humans could no longer be overlooked. The galaxy had watched, and it had seen humans rise to challenges that none could have predicted. Leora and Amelia's bond, tested by fire and shadow, had proven unbreakable. It was a partnership forged in courage, solidified by trust, and witnessed by the stars themselves. The galaxy, vast and ever watchful, had recorded a new truth. Humans were extraordinary, not because of power or technology, but because of their courage, adaptability, and the ability to act decisively when it mattered most. The summit was over. The threats were neutralized. And as night fell over the glowing towers of Vera, the two princesses knew one thing with certainty: this was only the beginning. Together, they would face whatever challenges the galaxy might send, and the universe would watch, and it would never underestimate humans again. The galaxy watched as an alien princess chose a human princess to trust.